Okay. This week's parsha, as we all know, is Parshas Kaira, Parshas Chukas. I feel like I'm president. Anyways, we want to start off. One of the psukim in the parsha is Adam ki yamas ba'ayhel. Zois ha'Torah, Adam ki yamas ba'ayhel. So, of course, there's many stories about Adam ki yamas ba'ayhel, because, of course, it's talking about the Torah, that a person's mechuyev to be meimis atzmai al ha'Torah. There's a story with Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin that there was a shver who was very wealthy, and he was also a very big Talmud Chacham, and he wanted the best son-in-law that he can get. So he went to the yeshivas and he asked around, and everybody told him that this guy is the best guy. He's a huge Talmud Chacham and he's a big masmid and everything else. So he goes ahead and he does the shidduch, and he sees after they did the shidduch, they're engaged already. He starts talking to the boy and learning. The boy doesn't know anything. And this guy is mamish like very upset. He says, Mekach tos, I wanted a Talmud Chacham. I don't care how good a husband he'll become. I want out, not for me. And so he already committed. I think Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin. They went to Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin. The Bacha didn't want to give up the shidduch, right? And the shver didn't want the shidduch. So I went to Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, and he said, I want to tell you. So Chazal, what does Chazal say? Kol mekayim es ha-Torah mei oini, sofer lekayim mei osher. So we say, Pashup Pshat is, if you don't have money and you kill yourself, you should go to work, but you want to go learn full time, so you're mamish punishing yourself. So with Seifa, you'll be Mekayim, but for Moshe, you'll make the money, you'll be rich, and then you'll be able to sit b'shalva. So Rabbi Shua Leib Taichit, no, Kol Mekayim as a Torah mei Aini means a shvacha cup. You don't have such a good head. You're not able to learn so much. But if a person's going to do it mei Aini, he's not so good in learning, and he'll put himself, and he'll apply himself, and he'll be mei misatzmei aleha, is Seifa lekayim ba'osher, he'll vaksais from the biggest Gedolim, and then afterwards said Rav Hutner told Rav Shach that he knows of the Maisa who was involved with the Maisa, and it turned out that the guy was from the Gedolim from his time. So that's one. Two, there was a tzaddik whose name was Rav David Pardai, who he wrote Sfarim, Michtam LeDavid and Mizmar LeDavid, famous Sfarim. And when he was younger, he had a chavrusa. They learned together very, very stark, and they were unbreakable. And after a while, so Rab David Parda continued learning, and his chavrusa decided he wants to go to work to make money. So he went to work, and he made a ton of money. But he still had a chavivas haTorah. So his thing was that any sefer, he told there was a Meiches Svarim who would go around, he told the guy, any new sefer that comes out, buy it for me, I'll put it in my library. Then they weren't able to sell too many Svarim because they were very expensive and most people couldn't afford it, but he wanted to have every sefer that came out. So the guy, obviously the Meiches Svarim loved going to him because he didn't have to argue about anything, he gave him the Svarim and he bought it and everything else. But he ayoim that the Meiches Svarim brings to this Osher Svarim, and he looks at them, and the Meiches Svarim is about to leave, and he sees the guy bursts out crying his head off. He says, is there something wrong with the sefer? I don't know. He says, no, it's not your fault. I said, I'll tell you. When I was younger, I learned with Rav David Pardai, and I see now the Svarim you brought me are his Svarim, and his Svarim are Nervayim, and I was his chavrusa when I was young, and this could have been me. Instead, what am I? And so he was makabel on himself right then and there. He said he's not working anymore. He put all his business in a trustworthy person's hands, and he sat and learned the rest of his life. That's again, Kol Mekayim es ha-Torah mei Oini, Sofer lekayim mei Osher, and here you see the other way also. He was not Mekayim et mei Osher, so he went back to the Oini in order to have Torah Gedula b'makom echad. Those are the Maises, just to show you Chavivas HaTorah and so forth. Now, beginning Pashas Chukas, of course it says, Zois Chukas HaTorah. What is Zeis? Zeis and Zeh. Zeh is a Zachar, which is Gematria 12 in Hakayel, which is Echad. And Zeis is an Akeva, which is also Gematria Mispar Katan 12, which is Echad in Hakayel. And they're both coming to show you what's the 12. 12 is really coming from Gimel Havayis of Birkas Kayanim. It's 3 different levels. Gimel Havayis is Yud Beis Isius. Rabbeinu Bechaya in the beginning of the parsha, I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Beginning of parsha, he says that there are 3 types of mitzvahs. One type, it's split into 3 parts. One type is mitzvahs Eloikiyos, which are considered Eidus Albrias Ha'olam, which are Tefillin, Tzitzis, Mezuzah, Sukkah. We don't really know the time for it, but these mitzvahs are considered Eidus and the Bria that the Rebbeinu Shalom created the world. And then there's the mitzvahs Muskaliyos. Mitzvahs Muskaliyos is mitzvahs that we would keep regardless, which is Geneva, Ritzicha. You don't need a special mitzvah in the Torah to tell me these things. It's a Pashat Dazach. You can't kill and you can't steal and so forth. And then there's a third Madrega, which is Chukim, which we have no understanding of them. And that Madrega is, let's say, Para Aduma, Shatnez, Klayim. Although if you look in Arizal, there are timing for it, but the deeper tam, we have no business going there. So, now these 3 types of mitzvahs could also go keneged, not keneged, as a balance, so to speak, of the Gimel Minei Achdus that you have by the Rebbeinu Shalom. How does it work? I told you about the Zeh and Zeis. So the Sefer Shef Atal who teaches the Zeh and Zeis is 3 types of Achdus. One is called Chibur, one is called Dveikis, and one is called Achdus. Right? So Achdus itself would be like the Keser. Achdus meaning it's one. And as you know, in the higher Partzufim, like in the Keser Sheba Atik or Keser Sheba Aruch or even the Abba Ima, they're all considered one. The Keser, Abba, Chachma, Bina is considered one. They're all together in one. There's no separation. Right? And that would be Achdus. It came one. And then there's Chibur. What's Chibur? Chibur would be like a Yichud where they're attached, but they're 2 separate things. Right? You see it by the Zavanuk, 2 separate things. And then the last one is Dveikus, where Chibur you could say is like by an Asira, by Adam Harishon before there was stuck together Achar ba'achar, Zachar Nekeva. So it was a Chibur, they were mamish attached. And then afterwards, they were separated, was a Dveikus. So, and as we know, there's also, there's a Malchus and there's a Keser. And one is the Helem and one is the Gilui. Like the Pasuk says, Ani Rishon v'ani Acharoin. Right? What's the Ani Rishon? Is the Keser. V'ani Acharoin is the Malchus, because they're really both the same. One is the Gilui of the other. Right? Right? And one is Ayin, Ani is Isiyas Ayin, which is the Keser, and the other one is Isiyas Ani, which is the Malchus, which is the Gilui. Right? So, it's showing us over here that these 3 madregas and mitzvahs are really all 3 madregas in our connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom. In other words, the ones that's a chayik is connected Keser. Just like Keser is Behelem, Chukim are also Behelem. We have no understanding of it. And then you go to the next level, which is considered the Chibur, and that's the Chibur as well, because they are called mitzvahs that are Eidus and the Bria. So it's the Chibur between the Eidus and between us being Mekayim the mitzvah. That's how they come together. And the last one is the Dveikus, which is the Malchus, and then we are Mizdabek in the Shechina, which is also called Malchus, and with those things together, so we're able to put together, like every mitzvah is mechaber to a different level depending on what the mitzvah is. So just to be medama these things. The Oid, you see also that in the last parsha it says Vizais HaBracha. Right? Here it says just Zais without a Vizais, and over there it says Vizais HaBracha. And I was thinking, over here the Zais is Lashon Achdus, so therefore it stands on its own because it's the Echad. It's Keneged the mitzvah of Para Aduma, which is in the Madrega of Keser, because it's completely behel and we don't understand anything. But Vizais HaBracha, the first two Isiyas in Vizais HaBracha is a Vav and a Hey. And the Vav and a Hey, which would be a Chibur, because it's the last two Isiyas in Shem Havaya, Vizais HaBracha. Huh? Rosh Tevis of Vizais HaBracha is Vav and Hey, which is the last two Isiyas in Shem Havaya. Right? And that's considered a Chibur of Zav and Nuk. Right? The Vav is Keneged the Shema, which is the Zah, and the last one is Keneged the Nuk, which is the Malchus. That's the Vav and Hey. So in Vizai, how is a bracha chal? A bracha is chal when you have a zivug. As we know, every time there's a zivug, it brings a shefa. And that you see that from the Vizais HaBracha. So sometimes it's written as a achdus, and sometimes it's written as a chibur. You also see later in the parsha, I started off with the story about the Zais HaTorah, Adam Kiyamas Ba'ayel, therefore is also a Zais. You want to reach Yenem Madrega of going up, all the way up at Kisei HaKavod, that comes from Adam Kiyamas Ba'ayel. As you know, what's the greatest mitzvah? This is Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. If a person is Ma'aseh Nefesh, Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. You could do it without actually dying. That's what it says. Adam Kiyamas Ba'ayel, Meisem Atzmei Ala Torah. Then you could reach Madregas HaKeser when you reach that Madrega of Adam Kiyamas Ba'ayel, that you Meisem Atzmei Ala Torah, that you have to go through all those things. And it's also Negeya, I don't want to go over time, it's also Negeya Birkas Kayanim. As you know, Birkas Kayanim, I've mentioned where the number 12 comes from. It originates from the three Havayas in Birkas Kayanim. Also in Birkas Kayanim it's 3 Psukim, which is also showing me the 3 Madregas that you have in the spheres. I'm not sure exactly how they line up, but it's Keneged those 3. And as we know that the Kayin Gadol, Kayin is Keneged Chesed. And as you know also in the Pasuk it says that L'cha Hashem, HaGedula, V'Hagvura, V'Hateferes, V'Hanetzach, those are all the spheres. What's Chesed called? Gedula. What's the Kayin Gadol called? He's called Kayin Gadol. Why is it called Kayin Gadol? Yeah, he's Gadol Meyacha, but the Ike is that he is Spitz Chesed. The Kayin Gadol, he is the Alpha, because a Kayin is Keneged Chesed, and the Levi, as you know, is Keneged Din. And it says also, Bezois Yovai Aroin El HaKodesh, Merum is in that, the El is, in Mispakot and his Gematria 4, Keneged the 4, Isi is Havaya, which is Merum is in the Birkas Kayanim, because that's where the Ike Bracha is coming from those 4 Havayas. And it says El HaKodesh, El HaKodesh Mispakot is also Echad. I'm showing you that it's all coming back, and just like the Malchus is all going back to one, everything goes back to one, which is Hashem Echad.